Everybody, welcome back into Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. Happy holidays to everyone as we've gotten through Christmas, but New Year's is on the way, and a new year in the legislature in Baton Rouge is on the way. Here to talk about what's going to go on. Beryl Amedée, of course, the state rep for District 51. Beryl, hope you had a happy holidays. Everything good so far?
Yes, we did all the usual. We played with grandkids and ate too much. I mean,
Of
can't
course.
get better than that.
We're all dying in January. Don't worry about it. Of course, you're
Yes.
going to have a little business to do in January as the new session will begin in a new and a lot of different ways. Obviously, you're going to have a new governor. The Republicans are going to have a majority in both houses. Republican governor for the first time in 8 years. What's the feeling as you guys turn the page to 2024?
Well, I keep hearing the term, it's a whole new day. And people are telling me I have hope again for some things that we've been dealing with for the past 8 years to finally have an opportunity to change, because we have not only a majority, we had a majority in the House and the Senate of Republicans for quite a while now. What we're coming in with is a supermajority plus one or two in both the House and the Senate. So we have Republicans all the way down the list of state offices, the governor, the attorney general, the secretary of state, just all of the offices you can name will be Republicans. So what I've been saying is if we can't get some progress made in these next 4 years, then that's going to be embarrassing.
Well, you're not going to have anybody to blame, right?
That's right. That's right.
Well, let's talk about that. What are the expectations? What do you think we'll see the changes and what needs to change?
Well, there's a great opportunity here for what the governor-elect was promising along the way on the campaign trail, and that is his changes in how we deal with crime. And besides that, people are looking at the opportunity to restore the protection of a lot of liberties that have been challenged in these past several years. There were things that were challenged during the pandemic when the governor issued mandates, and even some mandates seem to have come from the federal government. But we now have the opportunity to put some things in place so that certain of our rights will not be challenged again, not even under a pandemic. So people are looking forward to that. We had already started under our current superintendent, who is staying, for the schools statewide. We've already started with some education reform and seeing some progress from that. The reading scores in elementary are coming in, and they're looking great, just as predicted. When we shifted the change back to phonics-based teaching for early learning of reading, we knew that the scores would go up, and they are doing so. So the changes have started already in language arts, and I believe the focus is also going to include mathematics as we go into this next year, next session. So things are looking up in crime and education and in personal liberties. I believe that we will finally be able to pass some Second Amendment bills that have been languishing for 8 years. And what else? Just so many things that we feel that Republicans who are conservative and liberty-minded, we feel that we've just been like holding ground, and I think we'll be able to finally take a few steps forward and make some real progress.
Do you think there'll be pushback from the federal government on some of the things you're talking about? And a lot of those things, are those social issues that do make noise, probably trans things, probably guns, probably abortion. Those are all things that are going to get attention on the federal level, I'm sure. Are you
Yes.
guys confident that maybe it's swinging back the other way where we're.
Well, let's say in our first year in 2024, I believe we'll be able to pass a lot of good things in Louisiana. And yes, I fully expect pushback from the federal government. But what's coming in another year is a change at the federal level in the administration that we've been sitting under for also a while now. So yes, I do expect pushback from the feds, but I do expect that we'll be successful, if not this year, in about 2 years. Will be more successful. And when you're dealing with the federal government, it's not only in some of the matters that we've just been discussing and some of the social issues, but also we're hearing a lot about energy. And Louisiana is still an energy-dependent state. I mean, our economy is dependent upon the energy industry. So we will see what the next federal administration does. I believe that everyone wants to take care of the environment, but I hope that we see a swing back to where we're taking care of people first and the environment second. And we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be an interesting year for sure. As we move to 24, and there's a lot of conflict around the globe now. When you talk about Ukraine, you're talking about what happened in Israel and Gaza and those areas. Do you sense a switch, because these last elections, particularly in Louisiana, all seemed like 65% for the Republicans. Do you feel that as you go into this session?
I do. I feel that like in the atmosphere. I feel that in the comments that we hear from people, the general public and social media and so on. I believe that it's a pendulum swing. I think that the voters have finally just had enough. I believe that their personal lives have been intruded upon to the point where they can no longer just sit home and let somebody else take care of it. And I think that the voters have been active, and they've spoken very loudly with the outcome of this fall's elections.
Yeah, I think you're right. I seem to feel it too. You talk about what happened, during the lockdowns. Obviously, a lot of people frustrated with that. The riots that kind of came out of that, and there was it's just been a lot of argumentative, the DEI stuff, that kind of stuff seems to. Whereas maybe the pendulum may be swinging back a little bit. So
Yeah.
we're going to take a chance. Oh, no, we're not going to take a chance. We're going to take a couple segments to talk about more specific things. But let's take a break, Beryl. And when we come back, we'll get into the special sessions. All right, more with Beryl Amedée right here on Bayou Time right after this.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
Everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. Spending a little time with Beryl Amedée, of course, House Representative of the 51st District. So thanks so much for being here. Let's talk a little bit more specifically about what's going to happen when you guys start on January 8th is actually when everybody gets sworn in.
That's right.
The new governor will be in. And already on January 15th, he's called a special session to deal with the new maps, the new voting maps, which have been a problem. So what do you see happening there?
Well, that's correct. The inauguration day is the 8th, and the governor can't actually call the session until he's sworn in, of course. So we haven't seen the specifics of the call, but we have been forewarned that there will be a call issued. It will be to deal with congressional maps based on the court mandate that we're under, and the starting date should be January 15th. And we have until January 23rd is what we're told. And so we're going to go in and we're going to consider whatever we're going to do as a legislature to try to meet the judge's orders. The judge has required us to redraw the congressional district maps. She's expecting that we will redraw the maps with 2 minority-majority districts. But if you remember, we've tried that in 2 sessions already, and we were not able to successfully come up with a map that we believe would even pass court muster. Some of the maps we saw, one of them was nicknamed, I believe, the Zorro map, because it had a congressional district that looked like a big letter Z written across the map. Another, I believe, was called the 7-Eleven map, because there was this huge number 7 looking district. And there are certain requirements of districts where they have to be congruent and they have to be related. The communities need to be related. And so we always question, what in the world does the communities around Monroe have in common with, let's say, I don't know, how
Baton
far
Rouge,
south did
North
they
Baton
go?
Rouge, yeah.
North Baton Rouge, or even farther.
Yeah.
How about the small towns around Lafayette?
Right.
It can get kind of strange when you have to just draw lines just to try and meet a population quota.
Well, we know it's in common, right? And it's not minority, it's black. And it's got to be 2 districts that they want carved out. You guys have already brought up a couple of maps, but they were vetoed by the former, right?
Yes.
Bell Edwards.
Yeah.
So Jeff Landry, I guess, may work with those other maps, but you still feel it's going to go back to this judge, and it probably will end up in the Supreme Court, because I'm pretty sure those Republicans in Washington, D.C. don't want to just hand over a couple of districts.
Right, yes. So some of the requirements we're under, you mentioned minorities. It does say minority, but it actually specifies African American.
Right, sure.
So it's no other minority.
Right, just
And
one, right.
Just that one. And it's not even blacks in general. It's African American specifically. And so when I look at it, I believe that it's really kind of sad that here we are in 2023, and we're actually still trying to draw lines on a map based on
Right.
the basically the color of people's skin or their background, their heritage. I think that if Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had lived this long, that we'd be on a different course by now.
Right.
I think that if suddenly he could come back and see the state of affairs, he'd be disappointed, because we have really done, by and large, we've done a good job of integrating people today in Louisiana. Mostly don't live in neighborhoods where everybody looks alike. It's not like it was in the 1930s or even the 1950s, and that's why the maps are so hard
You can't
to draw.
do that in housing, right? It would be against the law.
Well,
So
yes.
we're going to make it.
This is
and we're going to
true.
make maps that way. So,
Right, but law aside, I think that we're a different community now.
Sure.
Things have changed over time, and people focus on different things now, and it's not so segregated like it was a century ago. So it's just disappointing that we still have to be considering drawing lines on a map
Well, right. Well,
based on these criteria.
If Hispanics get to 15%, do we not then have to have us Hispanic, 2 blacks, a couple of white? I don't know. I don't see where the future is going with that, but
Right,
we'll see. So
yeah.
Anyway, we'll put that to rest. It doesn't look like we'll have this solved by the elections for president.
No, in fact, here's the deal. If the legislature does not pass any new map, this map goes back to Judge Shelley Dick, and she or the court will draw a map. If that happens, that map is going to be challenged. Okay? So if we don't pass a new map, whatever map the court draws will be challenged. If we do pass a new map, that map will be challenged. So no matter what
Right, it'll be
happens in
challenged.
the special session, we are expecting that there will be court challenges and that this whole issue will not be resolved. This congressional map issue won't be resolved until the Supreme Court rules. Now, that won't happen in time for this 2024 fall elections. That won't happen, probably won't happen in time for the 2025 elections either, because courts move slowly.
Sure.
And the higher the court, the slower it moves.
Right.
So this is going to be an issue for a while.
Right. Yeah. We'll be dealing with this for a while for sure. Quickly, what do you think about, like, there will be a new speaker at the House too? You pretty confident in where the leadership will fall in Baton Rouge?
I'm fairly confident. Both the House and the Senate have supermajority Republicans, and both delegations have chosen a nominee. And I expect that the nominee in both houses will be the one that's elected for Senate President and for Speaker of the House. It's not guaranteed until the vote is cast, but that is what I expect.
Yeah. So we'll see action on that. And then, again, I don't want to start asking questions with 30 seconds left. We'll have to deal with tax. The tax reform always comes up. Money, we're not going to have the same amount of money that was coming from the federal government after COVID. So we'll have to watch that a little bit, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Budget challenges.
Right. Hopefully not as bad as when you first took office, right?
Oh, definitely not. But that 0.45% sales tax is rolling off.
Right. So you'll have some work to do. All right, we'll take a break. One more segment to go with Beryl Amedée right here on Bayou Time.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We're spending some time with Beryl Amedée, of course, the District 51 state rep out of Houma and a couple other areas. So Thanks so much for being with us. Now, we talked a lot about the maps, which is going to be the first thing you deal with. The next thing is going to be the crime. There's going to be a special session on crime. What do you need a special session for to do with crime?
Well, I suppose that whatever ideas we have could wait till the regular session, but on the campaign trail, Governor-elect Landry made promises about crime, saying that the first thing he was going to do is call a special session on crime. I believe that it would have been even earlier than what we've been warned, except that the special session on the congressional map is in the way.
The judge, the
Yes.
judge said middle January.
Yes, yes. And we've been told to expect a special session on crime starting on February 19th, running through March 6th. And we've also been told that the number of bills that'll be proposed right now is between 12 and 20, and we haven't seen those yet. But in speaking with the governor-elect and his transition team and his incoming administration, these are the things we've been told. Expect 12 to 20 bills. There will probably be more crime bills in the regular session, because this isn't a problem we can fix overnight or even in one single special session. But if you noticed, even as our current Attorney General and Governor-elect, Landry has already started working on crime in what he did with New Orleans,
With state police.
yes,
They're gonna have
where
a district there?
right. The district attorney, if he does not prosecute certain crimes, the Attorney General's office will be able to.
Right.
And so this is a
Got a
major
playbook
step.
out of DeSantis has done that in Florida with a couple of
Right,
DAs.
right. I think two other states besides Florida, Texas and another, I forget which. But the governor-elect is very serious about crime, because this is a big problem with Louisiana. It's part of why we have such a population decline, or like we've been saying, a mass exodus.
Right.
And it's also affecting our economy. And it's keeping businesses from wanting to locate here. It's keeping families from wanting to stay here, especially in certain cities where crime is just rampant. And it's a very serious matter.
Do you think this will affect mostly like Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Shreveport, which are the ones that are kind of mentioned with that, or will it affect towns like Houma, Thibodeau, and Bayou areas?
I'm expecting to see legislation that cuts across the board. I think the effects will be more noticeable in the bigger cities where there's more rampant crime, but that's only because maybe the smaller towns and communities are already doing things well,
Right.
or better.
Right.
And so we're not hearing that Houma is breaking records in the number of carjackings, for example. So I think that the effect will be more noticeable where the crime is higher right now.
Yeah, I see. Now, as you go into the legislature, I know you have some bills that you're trying to work on and craft right now. Can you give us a preview?
Well, I have a wish list of bills, and I'm in the drafting stage right now on most of them. Some that are already drafted and may only need a little brushing up or dusting off are bills that I've carried before that have not passed. For example, last year I carried one concerning central bank digital currency, and it did pass, but the governor vetoed it. So I do plan to bring that one back again this year, but it may need to be tweaked a little bit because of things that have gone on more recently at the federal level. So once the bill is filed, I want to be sure that it has the language that's as most up to date as possible. I believe that there are other of my colleagues who've also had bills that were vetoed that fully plan to bring those back. Bills such as the ones dealing with gender vocabulary in schools, bills that would say that matters of sex ed or gender ed would be left to parents and not schools, especially elementary schools, bills that would protect people whenever certain health procedures are mandated or being attempted to be mandated by government entities or even employers. And that's one that we learned through the pandemic, where people were being mandated to take the COVID shots. And we're hearing now, it's common news now, that there were things that were not correctly reported to us. There was a lot of propaganda. There was a lot of coercion. And no one should ever be made to have a medical procedure of any kind done by government coercion. So there will be plenty of bills along those lines. I'll carry some of those.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. You guys will hit the ground running for sure. But Do you think, just as we wrap up in a minute and a half, Jeff Landry, do you think he's up for it? Do you think he's the guy that can kind of bring us together? Because, as we talk about countrywide, we all kind of seem to be, Sunnis and Shias right now. We're on both sides of an aisle. Do you think he can bring us together, or you think it's going to end up like the country?
I really expect that he can. First of all, as you know, if you spend any time with him, he's really high energy, constantly on the move, always thinking of the next thing. And I think that a lot of the issues that he wants to deal with, that he wants to spearhead and tackle, are issues that have nothing to do with party. They don't even really have anything to do with race. They may not even have much to do with economic level. They're issues that reach people at the core. They're constitutional rights issues. There are common sense issues, whether it's crime or the budget, the economy. Common sense shouldn't have a party. So I really expect that we'll be able to have a whole lot more agreement and a whole lot less infighting as we move forward.
Yeah, the whole country could use that for sure. We only get 20 seconds, but we didn't even talk about levees and flood protection, but that's got to be big on the agenda too.
Oh, absolutely. Well, in the last couple of seconds, let's just say that it's time to move forward, and Louisiana's poised to be a leader in doing that.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
Great. Well, Beryl, thank you so much. Have a happy new year. And
Same to
good
you,
luck
Aaron.
in Baton Rouge.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back with more Bayou Time after this.